Hello everyone, Alien Volt here, and I am playing World of Warcraft, Warlords of Draenor. And yes, my Deadly Boss mods is out of date. This is looking for raid and Highmaul, the new raid instance that's available. This is the first week that it's actually available. At least the recording is. Now, I took a long time to post this video because I actually debated whether or not I was going to actually post it. One thing I run in my videos is I use my UI, and I keep my damage meter up there so that way I can not only track my own progress as I'm playing, but other people can actually see it as well. And the thing that I didn't notice when I was in this raid, because I was more concerned with actually learning the fights for the first time, was that my damage meter was set to overall and not the current fight. And so what that does is it tracks all the AoE content for the trash and the mobs like that you get in between boss fights. And a lot of people don't really go all out on that because you don't want to pop your cooldowns on stuff like that. You just kind of go in there and AoE it down. Not a huge priority because normally that's not going to wipe your group. So my damage isn't definitely as high as what it is, or what it should register during the actual boss fight attempt. Some classes, especially if you pay attention to the DPS meter during this fight, just have insane abilities to do AoE damage, and their AoE damage will just jump, it'll skyrocket, you know, way up there. And then when you actually get on the single targets, for like the boss fights, their damage drops down. Which is not uncommon, it's a pretty common thing. But you'll see during the boss fights my damage jumps back up on the meter. Usually at least I'm on the meter, which shows that I'm doing pretty good DPS. The problem is there's no way to know exactly how much I'm doing for the actual boss fight itself. I mean, I could have been in first, I could have been in third. I mean, there's no way to know. All I know is that I'm registering in the the top 7. Even including the AoE damage that I know I don't do a lot of as a Feral Druid. But because this was my first run in, my first experience with the instance, and it's the instance I actually get all my achievements and everything in for doing the boss kills, I went ahead and I decided to post it anyways. This raid instance is actually pretty short. There's a total of 7 bosses, 3 of those are optional. The first one is Kargath Blade Fist, which we're getting to right now. Then next is Korath. Then there's the Twin Ogren. And then there's Emperor Margok. The optional bosses are the Butcher, Brackenspore, and Tectus. But right now we're gonna fight Kargath. Let's see how this goes. I'm actually kind of excited. Sometimes these looking for raid groups can go really smooth, and other times they're a nightmare. Alright, we got him down, first attempt. That's pretty awesome. Not a very difficult fight. Nice, got some boots. Everything I get in here is pretty much going to be an upgrade because my gear sucks. I'm in PvP gear right now, which isn't horrible, but I mean that's just all I have. I didn't really run a bunch of heroics to get gear prior to coming in here. My PvP gear gave me the gear score, so I just went ahead and came in that. A lot of people don't have to worry about that because they already have the crafted gear sets, and they upgrade those to like 665, 655 gear score, and I'm in here in 620 gear score, so my gear is definitely underrated for this instance. But I don't have any crafting professions on this guy for that. I can't make myself leather gear because I'm actually alchemy. I've been alchemy since I first created this guy, and I don't really know why, because there's been no huge benefit for it. I guess probably just because I really hate farming and I never wanted to farm the mats to level up leatherworking again. And then I thought about doing it this expansion, but it looks like they've taken away the benefits for actually having it outside of being able to upgrade your own gear that you craft. Which in the end really isn't that big of a deal, because the crafted gear only gives you a head start in the beginning of a release of an expansion like now. Later on, all your gear is going to come from the raids or from PvP, and that's just the way it'll work, because your gear sets actually have set bonuses where your crafting gear doesn't. So even though your crafted gear might be the same item level, or maybe even perhaps a little higher than what you get out of the raid, it won't be a replaceable item because you'll lose your set bonuses. That is one instance where WoW definitely falls behind other games like Elder Scrolls Online. Their crafting system is just really subpar. Alright, the Butcher, an optional boss, he's down. I got a self-buff item, kind of like taking a, I guess kind of like an agility flask. Not too bad. I'd have rather had gear, but not gonna complain. Man, these guys look pretty cool. Kind of like the Iron Dwarves in the Wrath of the Lich King, with that blue, almost lightning going through their body. Well, it looks like in this phase he splits off, so he's got to kill his weaker self. I was a little late on that switch, though. I should have switched over to him a little bit earlier. I have to say, this LFR seems pretty easy compared to some of the past LFRs. The difficulty level just doesn't seem to be there like it has been in the past. Normally on the LFRs, the bosses won't have all of their functions, and with each difficulty level, with the normal raid, then you go into like a heroic raid, and then now even like the mythic, the bosses gain more health usually, and they gain abilities, so you have to learn a little bit more steps to each fight. But the LFRs are still a little challenging when you first encounter them, because you don't really know the fights, and without learning what to do to counter their abilities, you end up dying. You expect wipes, especially the first time you come into one of these, especially the first week it's out, like this week. But that's just not happening here. So I'm really thinking Blizzard kind of dropped the ball on the difficulty level on these raids. Which explains why people have already beaten this raid the first week it's out on Mythic. Which is the kind of like an extreme raid mode. I mean, it shouldn't be happening the first week it's out. I don't care if your guild has been farming this instance in beta, you're still not going to have the gear ready and prepped to do this raid on Mythic, or you shouldn't be able to. Not the first week it's out. He looks angry. Tell you what, if I looked like that, I'd be angry too. If you haven't seen the form that I'm actually using in cat, it's half man, half beast, half man, Shirvala. It's a new feral form that they gave us, but it's more for PvP. It's kind of more of a hybrid, so that way you can actually cast your heals, which are very useful in PvP instances, but in raid it's just not really that important anymore. I hear they're gonna buff it though. We'll find out, because right now it's not the ultimate form to actually be using in raids. Well, the clones of himself die pretty easy, which is definitely a plus, because his health doesn't seem to be going down all that well. Another clone of himself. Oh no, the tank drug us right through the poison on the ground. Think we almost got him. Alright, well, that's the end of this looking for raid. Like any looking for raid, they always break these raid instances up into multiple parts. So I will be bringing you the second part soon. Thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.